Hi, this is Cobb. This is the 5th session in the training series for the Stewardship Web Mapping Application, the Georgia Forestry Commission, and this will be the last session dealing with the stewardship part of this application. And in this session, we're going to talk a little bit about managing your maps and apps in the process of creating your final map products for stewardship plans and other management plans. And also I'm going to follow up with a little more guidance on the print functionality within the app, and also some other options because as I said before, the print function was the most difficult, and it still is not terribly reliable, as it's actually using the app that's on our server to create the mapping templates, because that's where we have the custom options, which include the very useful, I think, template, the print frame, which indicates the extent of the printout that's going to be in the data frame in your final print, which is, to me, I find it very useful and helpful. So we want to try to use that if we can, and at least if we do have to use another option, we can use the frame as an indicator of what kind of scale we need to use if we have to use another print service, so that we don't make several prints trying to get the right extent into the map. And as we saw in the last session, it sometimes takes several minutes just to generate one print, so we want to make sure that we have the right extent in there each time we try to generate that printout. So about this is the application that we created in the last session, which is based on the web map that we made. We based that web map on the original web map in the GFC application, which was modified with symbology and labeling and adding in some other elements. And so that version that was saved as a web map that you named in your content, as you see, this is the app, but it's named after the web map. So when we shared this web map, created an app, then it was whatever the web map name, that was what the app was named as well. That's going to be in the title page. The actual name of the app, if you remember, was the FSP template Cobb or something like it. It was a more general name because I wanted to show you. So after the first time you created that app, and that was based on this web map, you don't necessarily have to. So the workflow, just to overview, is like this: is the first step is to bring in the data into the application. So you have to have the application open and for the first step to be able to append that data to our common database for the tracks and the stands and so forth. And then when we go over to the web map and make those modifications, and after the web map is modified, is when you save that web map as in your content. So you won't be able to save the web map itself because it's owned by the administrator, but you can save a version of that map that's named after the plan, the landowner, in your content, and then you can create another app that is based on that web map. But when we created that app, it's actually configurable. So if we look in our content here, this is the app that we created, and if we go into so this is when you open this app right now, it looks like this, and it has this Monahan tract right here. So if you if you wanted to go to your content, then you can actually look at these details, and instead of creating another app for every map in your folders, every map that you make, you can actually take this template here and configure the app with another web map. So this will take, unfortunately, until we get our web server domain name out on the internet. We'll have to log in here probably several times in order to make this transition, but it's a way that you don't have to create that extra file for every single map that you make, every landowner that you have to bring back into the app in the modified version. So the dreaded logging in, and what this does is opens the app and allows me to select another. So I have another map in my content. You may have noticed that Wesleyan folder. It doesn't have a tract in it, but it has some stands from a previous version. So let's use that one, and we'll say OK. And then if we save that, you see it's we've gone to a different extent there, and we'll have to log in yet again. And then oh shoot, you see that this is coming up. This is a different web map that we made before, and so so now if we can use this here, this app, when we open this, to when we bring it back in. Normally we would make some last adjustments if we wanted to add any drawing elements to the map, and also the printout function. So those are the main things. So here it is. So this is so now in this case you notice that this map template right now is opening up to the Wesleyan map, and you see its name Wesleyan FSP map instead of Monahan map. This is the app and not the web map itself, because you notice all of the widgets along the top and the links and everything. So you don't have to. So you can use that same app and just reconfigure it with whichever map that you're interested in. In the event that sometimes that it doesn't, it won't zoom to the extent of the new web map, like so then you can easily use this query feature in the app, the query by stands or tracks, the tract ID, plant ID. You should have those available. Or else you can actually just search by the area over here in this world geocode. So that's a way to, like I said, to not have to have a separate app for each web map that you created. So the other part of this session is going to involve the printout function, which is like I said, it's a very it may be an iffy proposition sometimes to get print, depending on the template that you select, and those types of things. So this let's go back to let's go through that process one more time of actually of changing this app configuration so that it's using the Monahan web map. And again, with all of the irritating logins, but it's still easier than creating a new app, because then you have to name, you have to give names and tags and descriptions and everything to make that new. So if we can open this, and hopefully we'll get this login issue resolved at some point. But we're going to choose this Monahan map now, and okay. And so we save this one. then it creates a new version, a new configuration of that map that has the Monahan web map in there. And as we see, whoops, see now it reverted to the other one, but it doesn't matter because the next step would be to commit the changes into the app so that that web map is the basis now for this map template. And then we have to open it and log in one more time to actually get back to that map. So here's our, this may revert us back to the other. Okay, if it does, of course you can just query back for our tract, and then that will bring us back to. So you see, this that other information isn't in. You see, the stands didn't come up when it had the extent of the Wesleyan College, because that is a different web map, and it's actually using even different layers to indicate where those stands are. So you know, you can't just open. So each one of these apps that you base a web map on is going to be specific to the web map of that version, the one that has these labels, this symbology, you know, these added elements and labels. And so, you know, that's, you can't just zoom. I couldn't just zoom to, but when we had the other one, when we had the Wesleyan map open, I couldn't do that. I couldn't just query and go to this. Now it would show this this area in this track, but it wouldn't have the customizations that we made when we saved it in the original web map. So that's the way that works. The printing function. So we have at this point we have three print widgets here for various, and these are sort of you know, in the order from right to left of the way that you should try it. And really the leftmost widget is coming from Esri's default print service. So it really, the only time you should ever use that is if you have like a map for your own use, or an internal map that we're just using with it. The maps that you deliver to customers should be branded and have the logo and the standard layouts. So if you have to have an external customer's map and these fail, then we'll go through one other option, and we'll have you set up a print app in your content so that you can get those printouts that are failing by these other methods. So the first one is the Print Plus, which is our one with the GFC templates, and this is going to be named in the official release. This will be called GFC Print Templates. And so you can see the extent of what's going to happen here. This is our so you have all of these layouts, and so if you look at your tract, you know, in question, so based on the shape of your tract, you can select the orientation and the print that would work the best. So this one may work, since it's long and relatively narrow, with this letter portrait with the side legend. And so if we can move you see that we can move if we click inside, and by the way, if you click outside and move everything around, it causes a lot of erratic behavior. So if you can help that, and then you know, if you get in trouble again, you can just refresh the web page here. Then you'll have to log in again, but then it sort of reset back if you get this widget stuck. But moving inside, panning around inside of this frame actually moves the image in the print area and within the frame, which is static, so that you can position it so that you have the right coverage extent for your print. And if we print this, hopefully the Print Plus widget will work, and that's what it's designed to do. There are a couple of problems, and this is this is on our internal server because it's a custom widget that we developed with the templates and the frame and everything. So it's not available through the online version, and so it's not perfect, but like I said, I really think it's helpful to have these these frames here when you're looking at a print that takes this long. And I've adjusted these frames so that they're really close to the actual output that you get. So if we look at this one, this comes across as by default it's a PDF, and you see we could have set the title and the author down here, and let's go ahead and do that. Actually, we can do another one. This is where you set the title. I was just going to see if it actually worked, but we went through this last time, and I just wanted to take this a little further with some extra guidance, because it is one of the more complicated, and I found it can be pretty frustrating sometimes. So we were looking at a number of different options in the case that there were problems generating these printouts. So we'll let this one go. And so this one would have the custom title, and again in the advanced options you can put in an author and a copyright. And this, like I said, this DPI would be adjusted if you were looking at a larger format print. So for a format like PDF, which is scalable, you could use that for a larger format. You just have to increase that DPI so that you wouldn't have the pixelation in the aerial imagery as you blew that up to a larger scale. So this is so this would be sort of a final version of the map. You see it actually captured pretty much that extent within in the red frame there. So if this works, this is the first option for generating those prints. If it doesn't work, we have we have another print widget, which is a backup print. We call that it actually has all of the same templates in there, but they're named slightly. You can make the association between the names in Print Plus and the ones here. They're slightly different, but they're all exactly the same. They refer to the same templates. And so the recommended workflow, if you have to use this one, and the difference is this coming from a different print service. It's still on our server, but it's instead of going through the utilities service, this is something that we have created out of a desktop operation, and it's just handled a little bit differently by the server. So it could be successful when the other operation is failing, depending on, again, the template you select and the way the server is operating at the time. So we could, if we wanted to, remember we selected the portrait orientation with the side legend, and as long as you this template now is not applying to this particular print widget, it just stays up there until you cancel it out once you enable the Print Plus. So you have to, if you want the same extent, you have to make sure that you set this scale to be the same. So in our backup print, it may or may not be. If you look at this current scale, it's not quite the same. So we'd want to make sure we set that that scale, enforce the scale there. And let's just try that, and we'll take all the other defaults and just remember we could change the title and the author in the map elements. So this would be a different, like I said, it's exactly the same, but it's coming from a different service. So in case you have problems with the Print Plus version, you can try this one, and hopefully one of the other two will work. And as I said, if you set the scale to be the same as it was in Print Plus, then you should have the same extent that's output. So here's a print, and we can see, or maybe. All right, so this looks pretty much the same. Right? This is coming from a different print service, and if we hadn't reset that scale, we'd notice that the extent would be slightly different. So it was only about 9,000, so we'd have less area in this extent, and it may have cut off these edges. It definitely would have cut off that edge there. So you have to keep that in mind if you're going to use the backup print. If you a couple of, like, I guess you could say, quirky things, and I just moved this down, and I said never to do that, and it may have caused something to give way here. But when you start, if you have to zoom around a lot with the print frames, you'll notice that it does start to behave pretty erratically, and it's easy to get to the situation where your data or everything is just sort of stuck and filed up. So when you first open this, if you have if your view is, when you open it for your web map, to be we'll just let this thing struggle around a minute while I say this. It's a good idea before you activate this print template to maybe zoom out a couple of levels so that you have some because the initial extent this thing opens at is going to be set. It's going to try to capture most of the data while still rendering the frame entirely within the view extent. So if you have it zoomed all the way in, you may not be able to see the entire data frame. And if you have to increase the scale beyond what it takes to cover we're going to try this one more time, to cover the extent. And if you have to increase the scale, in other words, if you have to zoom out once you have the frame in view, then that's a way to get it stuck. Just the way I've done right here is got this. It's really, it has to do with the way our server handles this this custom widget. The print service is contained in there, but as I said, if we get stuck, you basically have to refresh the browser, and we have to log in again, and then we can kind of start over. But as I said, okay, so that zoomed out a little more. That's what I was trying to do in the first place, but it just kind of got hung up with the print being activated and the frame. It's just a little tough to handle it all. So we're back to where we started. And you see, now I have some leeway, if you will, on the scale slider here, which increases the scale. So as you increase the scale number, the coverage of this frame responds, correspondingly to your. So you'll have some leeway to make sure you get coverage of the whole track. So you should probably zoom out to have, at least 2 or 3, widths, 2 or 3 data extents within your frame when you activate this thing. here are the templates that we have available, where they're letter and tabloid and landscape and portrait orientation. And again, you saw an example of the side legends. Let's go with one of the other option is, and these are from the standard Esri templates as well. Is a legend at the bottom, which has all of the map elements located at the bottom. So see how I just increase that scale so that we have just enough coverage, and I can adjust that within the data frame to center, and then we can try to print this. As you go through this process and use these print widgets, I'd be interested to know just if you could let me know, send me an email or something, and what kind of problems you're having and what the issues are. Hopefully we will have a web-based version of this same print widget with the frame eventually, so that we won't have to deal with all of these internal server issues and how they interact with our ARC server that we have on our web service, and also the export, the print service itself. So here is the version with the bottom legend. See, these are all the elements, and this legend will be it has a container, a panel container restriction. So just like the side legend I had mentioned earlier, if it has too many characters in your legend, then it will not display. And with this one, these are, if we had more elements, then these would start to reduce the font size until it could fit. We could probably fit all 12 stand types and some other stuff in there. But if you notice, relative to the size of this page, this legend is fairly large right now, so it will expand to a certain extent to occupy that panel space, which you can't see, but it is in a block panel right down here in this area, just to the left of this service credits panel. So that's how that would work. And let me show you this is the generic print. Remember, only for internal prints and for things that are just for your own. If you just need a print that has a scale bar or something, that's the only way. That's the only time we should use this. So let's show you what it looks like. So now we're doing an A landscape, and one thing about it is you can't really tell there's no way to really tell what we're going to get. You just have to kind of keep adjusting based on the previous print, and when the prints take 2 or 3 minutes each, sometimes they can take a lot longer than that. But so here we have, this is the standard. You see there's no logo here. It looks similar to the other ones. The legend is a little bit different too. It has the header names. So if you design your legend as we did in the other sessions, so that you don't need the header names, then it's a little bit redundant. Okay, so this worked pretty well, better than I expected actually. But in the case where you are trying to print these things, you get filed up, and a lot of times you'll start getting errors like missing legend items or layers or just print failures. It may just say but error, try again here, instead of giving you this print output. And if that happens, let me show you how to I'm going to show you how to make a little mini app, a mini web app that is going to have our print service in there, because our print service has been linked to our organizational account. So anybody who is logged in this organization here, the print widget that's in our web app is pulling from that print service in our custom templates. So if you're in your content here, you can create an app, and we're going to use the web app builder. This is the online version, which has limited capability, but like I said, since our widget is already through our organizational settings is linked to our custom templates that are on our Arc server, then we can use that for a print that we can't get any other way. And so if you just call this print, and everything is just print, and we can save this. Probably want to save it in your default home folder. And so now we're going to have this web app builder. It looks kind of crazy looking, but so all we need in this one, if we go up here and we're just going to add, say in this number 5 spot right here, the one that's kind of out in the middle, you can add a print widget. And so you see this URL is where where this print widget is pulling those templates from. So you see it's on our Arc server, and so we can use that. And when we save the template, what happens is when we go back to your content, then we'll just use this link back to the FSP Common Layers web map to get back to our ArcGIS Online account, and then we can go to our content. And in there we see now that in our home folder we have this print web mapping application here. So it's going to be named print in your home folder. If we go to edit application, so this is in your content now. So every time you go to your content, you're going to have this here. And if you go to edit application, what you can do is, in the same manner that you configured the web map for the app, as you had your custom web map, you can also select the map through this editor mode in the web app builder. And so we want to use the Monahan map. That was the one we were interested in printing, and so that's what we'll have there. And if we save this, then we have this print app is going to be based on the Monahan map every time if we just open it. Now if we go back to edit application and take us back to this page, and then we can change the configuration to make it based on another web map. So down here we can launch this application if we wanted to, just to get rid of the configuration panels that are in the builder mode. And so remember, this is on, thankfully, this is on the ArcGIS Online service instead of our internal, so we won't have to log in every time. Now you remember, so this works, but it's going to be hard to know exactly what the print extent is when we get over here, unless so we could have looked back over at this this is our original application that we were using with the web map to print, that had the Print Plus and all those others in here. If you look at your, see this panels up here, if you look at your Print Plus configuration, you can see that the scale is set at 10:560 for this particular layout, which is a letter portrait. So if we go back over to this one, and in the settings, if we do that 10:560, and that, again, you're gonna have to depend on trying to center this thing to get it directly in the center of your view frame. So there's going to be a little variation, but if you type in this scale and force that scale such that the data frame extent in the other app corresponds to that particular layout, then the print extent should be very similar in the output. So we're going to try this, and the difference between this service and the ones that we've been using is that it is the app, the actual web app that's the print service is contained in, is on our is on ArcGIS Online through their cloud service rather than our internal service, and that's why it's pretty much always will work. You just have to make some adjustments and do some calibration to try to determine what your print output is going to be. So you see, the problem there was we didn't use the proper layout that scale was dependent on. So then if we try that, see, because this is an entirely independent operation, it's just that these, we have the same data in here, so it's going to occupy the same extent. So we can use those relative scales between the frame that's in the Print Plus widget and the scale that we forced in this the little print app that we made, and hopefully it would be pretty close. So this would be, since you're going to have to go back into the app anyway, this would kind of be the last option. So having that reference of the print frame over here, even if the print widget, the tool, doesn't actually, it fails to produce an output, is a good reference to have if you have to use another option for your print service. So let's see, this one is pretty close. And so this one is at that scale, then it has approximately the same output extent as our original, I'm not sure where that one went, is our original that we generated through the Print Plus service itself. It's on our internal server. So those are a couple of backup options in the event that we have difficulties producing the print. Once you've produced your print in these are PDFs, but there are a lot of other options, kinds of images. I'm not sure. It used to be that you couldn't insert PDFs into Microsoft documents like Word documents, and so if you needed other formats, again, we have all of these available. The JPEG and the PNG. PNG is good. PNG 32. So those other formats, these are all image formats that you can save once you have an output. So you can just save these to your hard drive as just a normal PDF document. So that is what I wanted to cover in this session, and hopefully this helped. There may be one more session that's just other miscellaneous things, such as bringing in additional data and just different, I guess you would call tips and tricks that just highlight the capabilities of the app. But this should, as far as going through the process and creating your map through this process, and importantly having it appended to our database of all of our activities for reporting, and then to produce this customized and standard professional branded map and as an output. So I think that this should get you started at least on map production using this application. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.